Okay, we're going to carry straight on with our next speaker. Anna is going to talk to us and give us a little bit of a survival guide for women in IT.
Hi, everyone. Is it working? My name is Anna. I'm a software engineer at realestate.com.au. And today, I will tell you about women in IT industry. Please don't ask me how it's related to sysadmin miniconf. But they invited me, and I'm here. First, I would like to start with some statistics. I'm sorry, New Zealand. I have only Australian numbers. So, according to Australian Bureau of Statistics, women account for more than 50% of Australia's population, but only 47% of the workforce. If you drill down into IT industry, you will find there even less diversity, only 28% of women. But if you're going to look into tech roles, there it's going to be under 20%, which is probably very obvious from this room here. If you look around. For me, my personal journey into IT industry was quite challenging. I remember in the university sometimes I was not taken seriously. Some professors even accused me of cheating because for them, maybe it was hard to believe that the girl can understand a difficult subject like computer networks. I remember my first job back in Ukraine was in a small IT company, and my boss only hired me because he was tired from other guys swearing all day. And he figured if he hires a girl, they would stop swearing. Well, they did for the first few months. When I came in Australia, I thought that maybe my journey is not an industry average. And maybe for women in Australia or New Zealand, it's much easier to build a career in IT. So about a year ago, I asked as many women as I could possibly find to share their stories with me, to write me about their struggles or successful stories. And the more stories started to come, the more upset I became, because almost every single story had something about harassment, underpayment, or ignorance. Though you might think that situation is improving and population of women in IT industry is growing in recent years, but I believe that we're still in dark ages. We are not talking about prosperity yet. We are talking about survival. Because IT industry today is full of threats. You can be overrun by zombie ops team or drown in a fast stream of overtimes. I think that women need to be warned and trained against common hazards in order to survive in this male-dominated environment. Desperate times call for desperate measures. That's why I created this manual. Let's start with job search. Don't give too much credence to job descriptions. Treat it as a wish list. If you recognize 20–30% of those hieroglyphs, you're definitely qualified, and you need to apply. In your search endeavors, your #1 enemy might be a recruiter. His natural habitat is a murky swamp between his mobile phone and LinkedIn. He has very nasty habits. He can tell you, oh, IT is a boys' club, you look too young or not senior enough. Don't listen to him, apply anyway. Your second enemy might be yourself. If you think that you're not smart enough and IT industry is not for you, well, I can't help you. You should look for the job with less requirements and lower bar, maybe President of the United States. You know, any fool can get the job nowadays, like any. On your first day in office, your main task is study your battlefield terrain. So, create a detailed map of the office and premises, memorize exit locations, plan your escape strategy, and find safety shelters. That's normally bathrooms. They can be great panic rooms as well. Blend into your team environment. Dress appropriately and wear glasses to look more authoritative. Welcome your teammates with sugary snacks in form of cake, cupcakes, or donuts. Be organized and be efficient. Assemble your everyday emergency kit that should include items like spare clothes, headphone, loudspeaker, emergency food supply. It will be very handy during office hours and overtimes. So keep it at your desk or in your locker. Safety in numbers. So you need to build your trust network. Start with looking for other women in your company. Look at reception desk, maybe at finance department. If no women found, look for gay men. They can be found anywhere. If neither found, designers are your last hope. It can be hard to spot allies, so look for people who are genuinely supportive of others, people who ask questions rather than telling, and people who notice discrimination and call it out. After finding potential candidates, recruit them. Invite them for lunch, for coffee, share with them your healthy snacks, and ask for informal mentorship. It's very important to have a regular catch-ups. Moving on to meetings. Very dangerous environment. Potential hazards are ignorance, miscommunication, and undermining of your opinion. Remember your emergency kit? Use loudspeaker if you want to be heard. Or ask an older man to repeat everything what you're saying if you want to contribute to discussion. Corporate parties and drinks. As always, be prepared. Find out about venue and activities beforehand and dress appropriately. Have a good meal before, unless you're a big fan of beer and pizza. Plan your escape strategy, have an Uber app handy. Don't post anything on social media, especially pictures. Stay close to your trust network, watch out for each other, drink within your limits. Whatever you do, do not dance. Never. If you feel like you want to gossip about your colleagues, it's time to call the cap. It's up for all of us to improve survival rates and make sure that population of women in IT grows steadily. That's all that I prepared for you for today. I'm very keen on your feedback. Please share it with me in any shape or form. Thank you very much for listening to my talk.
We have time for a few questions while the next two speakers set up. Does anyone have any questions for our speaker?
When recruiting, how can we encourage more females to apply for our job positions?
Well, first of all, start with the job description. Like, if you say something like, I need a ninja, I need a superhero to come and solve the problems, like, that's never gonna work. Most of women that I notice when they read the job description, if they think that they meet like 90% of those requirements, they might not apply for this job. So try to keep it to minimum. Put something like, you know, we're looking for people who have creative thinking, or try not to put the specific technologies that are not relevant, unless, for example, if your whole company is Ruby and you need a Ruby developer, just put there Ruby. Don't put all of the versions and all of the like frameworks, and like you read this like, okay, you need 5 years in Ruby, 5 years in JavaScript, 5 years in Scala. I'm like, those people exist even? Yeah, try to keep it to minimum. Try to use more, I would say maybe like feminine words to describe it, like communication, you know, like interesting, creative people.
One more question.
My question is, how can you take the initiative with recruiters and get them to, do you have any tips that sort of push them back onto their heels and sort of make them do what you want to do?
I found that in my personal experience, it's good to give them examples of the highly successful women in IT and say, like, look, those women exist, they're here. So if somebody comes to you as a recruiter, try to not do your old school thinking of scanning this candidate resume, and if you don't find the specific words that match in your description, just reject them. Most of things that we found in our company, we just ask most of the recruiters just to file the submissions back to us. And we do the anonymous submissions. So we try to look at the resume and at the code without any names, because we found in the past that if you have a name of the person in a code submission, let's say if it's a woman name, we found the comments are more harsh and the bar is much higher. So that's why if you do anonymous submissions, it's kind of takes the gender out of the equation. Thank you.
All right.